Guys,
Bonus.
we've been talking about survival games, and there's a new one that's been announced. Okay, everybody wants to play it. Best game ever made, from what I can see. It's Light No Fire. Who's excited? Come on.
I'm excited. We're all excited. Tom, you got to get on the survival train, and this might be the game to do it.
It could be. You're right, Coltrane. This game actually looks super awesome, and I'll tell you a couple reasons why. The fantasy setting looks really cool. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I saw the mounts, I saw the dragons. It looks awesome.
Yeah, rabbits. The rabbits in the armor, whatever, they looked awesome. Were they otters
too?
I think so.
You know what I'm a sucker for? Underwater stuff, and the underwater looked super good. So, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it looks cool, but here's what seems the coolest about it, right? This is like maybe the biggest open world, like real open world game that's ever been made at this point, right? It seems like the world is going to be massive, procedurally generated.
With substance, not just a ton of empty space.
Yeah. Crazy zones. I'm sure if you've played No Man's Sky, zone diversity, I'm assuming is going to be off the charts. I don't know, man. I will have my questions later on, I'm sure, as we dive in a little bit. But Scott, what has you excited for this game? And is the hype justified? It seems like every single person on the internet is like, this is the game. Is it the game?
Yeah, I think it is justified because even as bad of a rap that No Man's Sky got at launch, and rightfully so, it was pretty bad. I haven't quite seen a turnaround of that magnitude by a developer that righted their wrong. And based on how No Man's Sky operates today, I'm convinced that they have their formula dialed in. Like, they knew what they screwed up on. They know what makes that type of game great. So they just went all in with it. As far as the element of the game that has me most excited is what I really just said, is the exploration aspect. We as humans are explorers. We want to discover. That's our nature. And I'm tired of these big games that have no substance. For instance, Valheim again. Not that it doesn't have some substance, but it is a huge map. And as much as you explore and fill out the cartographer and everything, like, it's mostly the same thing. It's just biomes of the same thing repeated. Like, I want to go into a world, explore, and actually discover cool things that is like, holy crap, that's there. Like, I want to feel like Indiana Jones and have that just accelerated feeling of just finding something out in the world. So, I mean, the way the game looks, the world, the way that you can traverse the world, all the different biomes, it is just captivating, really. So I can't wait to explore something like that.
And Coltrane, I mean, hey, you're No Man's Sky day one, right? Ride or die. You've been there from the beginning.
Yes.
I mean, you know this company. You know what they've done. I mean, do you have hope? Is this the one? What are you thinking?
Scotty nailed it, man. Scotty nailed it. If anyone could do it, it's them. Yeah. If anyone could do it, it's them. It's Hello Games. Hello. It's just what they did with No Man's Sky. It became a meme. The fact that people today are like, no, they like pulled a No Man's Sky. Like, the game's amazing now. Like, these are the people. They are the No Man's Sky. You know what I mean? And like you said, Scotty, they are completely dialed in. They know what works. And I think the reason everyone got so hyped is when they saw this trailer, they saw everything that works. They saw everything that works in No Man's Sky and within this brand new world, this giant single world. This massive, with these massive mountains and these incredible vistas and these little civilizations. And it's also like, it's fantasy, but it's also like, it's high fantasy. It's also got some like steampunk, like a little bit. Like, it's got these, there's so many different layers to it.
It's got charm.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. Like, it's not like normally you'd see a bunny character and be like, well, why would I want to play a bunny? But it's a humanoid bunny. It's charming. I don't know. Something
It's
about it
unique.
is just
There's no store-bought assets here.
No.
Yes,
You know what I
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
the thing about it is I look at that and I could see myself in that world with my buddies and building a little village and a little town. I can see that because I've experienced that, and it's done so well in No Man's Sky. And the story in No Man's Sky, it's gotten so much better. I mean, at the beginning, it was like, what is this? You know, I mean, they've come so far in the combat and the flight, and like it just, there's so many amazing things about No Man's Sky that you see in this. And this is probably my number one hyped up game besides Road Diner Simulator from the makers of Gas Station Simulator.
Oh man. Stop. I can only get so
I know. I don't want to get you too excited. So this is a close second to those.
Tom's like, damn it, more editing work.
Everything about it is amazing. Now, Tom, you have not really traversed, the survival thing, right? Now let's get into the mind of Tom here, right? Now you're a PvP guy, right? You like the player versus player action.
I do.
What is it about survival that has been a turn off for you? And what in your mind would be a turn on? What would get Tom into?
That's a great question. Yeah. Thank you.
I think for the most part, it's been a lot of the tedium. Like some of the early stuff that came out with survival was very like harsh survival. You know what I mean? And that's not, we talk about gaming being an escape, being something you want to enjoy. I just didn't find that enjoyable. Right. And so I was like, this game doesn't really give me relaxation. It's not like, I don't love it. So this type of game, first of all, I'll just say aesthetically, the game is beautiful. Like it does look like a very cool world. And I am a sucker for open world games. I like a lot of the Ubisoft games where you see it, you can go to it, right? You can explore it. And so that's the really cool appeal for me. And then again, it goes back to, I know there's not going to be PvP, but if the combat is really engaging, I will like it. And that's where I have my first kind of like, is the combat going to be that good? Because I've played just barely, and I'm not trying to put down No Man's Sky. I think No Man's Sky is an amazing story, amazing game. But the combat in No Man's Sky, at least the ground combat, is not, it doesn't do it for me. And so
fair enough.
There is some hope, though. It looks like they're going to have the traditional fantasy weapons. Is there, and that's the thing, is there going to be skill trees? Are you going to be able to craft builds? Like how deep into the RPG elements is this game going to go? And I think those are the questions that I'm kind of waiting to have answered. But the appeal of getting together with the guys and jumping into the game sounds awesome. I'll for sure jump in and try. Will it be able to hold me? I just want to know some more. What over the next year, I'm sure they're going to drop tons of stuff. I'm excited to see what they have to say. So, but Rob, you also are a fellow survivor enjoyer, survival games. Did you see anything different, or did you just, the first impressions were just off the charts for you when you saw this?
I think the trailer that they released did things in such a way that left so many questions to be asked about what are we getting here? What are we I see all these like different little races. Is there a difference between them? Is one more powerful at one thing than the other? Is that how the class system is going to be? I'm my big survival game was Valheim, which is very like a generic person that you start with, whereas there seems to be a lot more options. And then one thing that I saw in a Reddit forum is when you discover points of interest in the world, if you're the first person to discover that, you can name it and everybody else can see it. You could leave your mark on the world and everybody else can see it.
That's amazing. They had that in No Man's Sky too. You can name your planets, you can name everything, and other people can see it. The reason no one really talks about it is because the universe is so vast. No one's ran into someone else's planet.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
No one's seen it because it's so huge.
But now you're on the same planet. So someone's eventually going to see it.
Now, hold on. That
Go ahead,
Sorry, Tom. Do you want me to go?
Go for it. Yeah, go
That
for it.
leads me into another question. I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead here. Um, is this a shared world for everybody playing the game, or is it going to be like a dedicated server that we generate our world and then us and our friends can play in there?
That was my main question too. We did a video talking kind of about the Game Awards when it was released, and I was like,
Yeah,
man, this world could be an MMO. Like,
Yes.
how many players are we going to get here? What are we going to run into other sets of players? Is there PvP? Is it just PvE? Like Rob said, there's so many questions and ways they could take this. I mean, I guess you would look at Coltrane, probably their track record
Mhm.
with No Man's Sky. Maybe I'm sure they're going to have a few cards up their sleeve, of
Yeah,
things
I would.
different. But what's your take on it?
I mean, I would assume it would be like a shared world. Keep in mind, this is one
okay,
massive planet, essentially the size of
Huge,
Earth, right? So
insane.
yeah,
it's going to be like somebody living in Colorado, has a town, and then somebody living in Texas, you know what I mean, has another town, and then you'll be able to see
okay.
each other's towns, but you've got to traverse thousands of miles via dragon back, to get there. So I think similar to No Man's Sky, I'm assuming that it is going to be kind of a shared world. It is like an
Mm-hmm.
MMO. That if you name an area, that's going to be
Oh,
your area
sounds
that
That
cool.
other
sounds
players
like
will be able to
some
see.
potential for PvP in
It
there.
sounds cool. I'm not
You
gonna
know,
Yeah.
lie.
one thing that I'll say is I was reading that so the world of Warcraft, I believe, is something like 500 square miles. This is like 10,000 square miles.
Wow.
So
It's insane.
think about how many people you're going to have on there to really fill up the world and see other people. So it's got to be a shared world, because if it wasn't, you'd never see it. You'd never be able to see it all.
But there only one issue is that it does say that it's procedurally generated,
Hmm.
right? Procedurally generated worlds or content, right? So that's the only thing that makes me wonder if it will be shared or how that would work. But they do it in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky is procedurally generated too.
It is.
Yeah,
So yeah, so it's got to be
I
the
would
same.
assume the procedural,
It's probably the first
like,
person who finds it.
or you could have different characters on different worlds, or
Mhm.
have different servers where the world is different on this server than another
Mm.
server, even,
Yeah.
which would be amazing. If you wanted to play again and get a
Yeah.
different, set of rules or circumstances for that world. So, but then it could just be limitless. If you wanted to go in and have a replay or a second playthrough, whatever. I mean, that
Mm.
sounds super
Interesting.
cool.
I did love how they did the trailer. It was so No Man's Sky. How No Man's Sky does their trailers is it's literally just one person walking, and then they, some quick flashes while all this stuff's happening, and they're highlighting all the systems as one person goes and they get in a ship, and then they take off. Same thing here, and it looks so
Hmm.
polished. I think that's why people are like, it might be sooner than we think because it looks great. And typically, No
Yeah.
Man's Sky, they're like, all right, here's the trailer, and everyone's like, amazing. They're like, it's tomorrow. Like what? Like that's kind of they have this history of like, oh, it's in a week, So this
Yeah.
looked extremely polished,
Yeah.
and
Now,
I
does
think
No
everyone
Man's
is just
Sky
chomping at the bit.
No Man's Sky has like an actual storyline, so this would be more
Mhm.
than just a survival. There's like a narrative that goes along with the
Oh
game. Is
yeah,
that
oh yeah,
the
yeah.
expectation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's an absolute story that they've completely redone, and it's fantastic. It's really they've added so much to it. You know what I mean, from what it was
Yeah.
at the beginning. And they also have different modes too. That you can now play No Man's Sky. You can just do a free build mode, where you can just have unlimited resources and just build. If that's all you want to do with you and your buddies, just build on a planet, great. Then they've got the big story stuff, which I highly recommend you do. And then they've got another one where it's more like objective based. This is usually for veterans of No Man's Sky that has done the story, they've done everything. It's like complete these objectives with your buddies, and it would be stuff like go to this planet or build and craft this or do this or kill.
Like a
A little.
daily system kind of, or
Yeah,
weekly
exactly.
system.
Which has actually been a lot of fun, and the gameplay's kind of changed there as well. So there's so many elements in No Man's Sky that they could bring here, but that's the thing is that it looks so good, it looks so polished. All those great systems were there.
Hmm.
Everyone's chomping at the bit like, okay, let's dive in. Like, is it this year? Is it in 2024?
So
Like,
you feel like the No Man's Sky sci-fi translates to fantasy. Like they can take the things and put them in this world, and you think it would be a home run basically.
It looked to me fantasy, but then you saw that like statue like kind of rising with the face, like that kind of had like a sci-fi kind of feel to it. You know, the otters or the rabbit people, like they looked like really cool fantasy. Like there's just so many different things to it. It just it was great because it looked like No Man's Sky, but not No Man's Sky, which I think was the goal, and I think they knocked it out of the park. So 2024, let's see it. Let's see it.